This hiker detailed their strange experience while hiking through the wilderness in Illinois. They said the following: "I had a very strange experience 12 years ago in Starved Rock State Park, Illinois. It was so strange at the time that I never discussed it. I began reading the missing 411 stories a few weeks ago and realized what I encountered fits into the missing 411 profile. Additionally, since many of the missing 411 stories border on the unexplainable and bizarre, I felt what I encountered was not unique, that it was part of an actual phenomena. Here's my story. I was visiting my girlfriend in Chicago. On a sunny and calm winter day, we decided to go for a hike at Starved Rock State Park, Illinois. I'm an avid hiker, and being on leave from Iraq, I wanted to take in some cool fresh air. We hiked in the park for several hours, and in the late afternoon we started heading back to the car. Around half a mile away from the parking lot, we came into an area where the tree branches were broken and pulled towards or over the trail. Most of the branches were broken high up, I'd say 8 feet or more off the ground. I'd lived in Washington before going to Iraq and knew about Sasquatch areas, so I told the girlfriend it looked like a Squatch area due to the branches being broke high up. That's about the time that things started getting strange. Soon after mentioning this, I felt like someone was staring at me. It's like if you go into a room with lots of people and someone is focused on you, you start to get an uneasy feeling and can tell you're being watched. It was like this but stronger. I started to look around to see who was watching me. It was the winter and the forest was visible hundreds of feet in all directions. There was a group of walkers several hundred feet behind us. No one in front of us, and I saw no one staring at me. As we made our way through this Sasquatch area, I began to have the feeling someone was behind me, and that they were following us. I looked around and listened but saw and heard nothing. There were just the people 400 feet or so back on the trail, and they were talking amongst themselves. They weren't looking our way, but the sense of someone being behind me was persistent, so I kept looking behind, I'd say at least twice a minute, but the group was still way back. But feeling like someone is close behind you is something else. It's more disturbing. I told the girlfriend to go further in front of me and let her go around 20 feet in front because I had a strong sensation of a nearby presence. So I turned around no more than 30 seconds since the last time I looked back, and there's this woman there. She was walking, but she was coming up on me fast. There was something off about her speed. She was walking when I spotted her, but her speed was much faster than her gait. It was as if she was on a people mover escalator like in an airport. She was coming up fast, and I'd say no more than 15 or 20 feet behind me when I saw her. I was rather alarmed and started to stare at her. She stopped when our eyes met, and I gave her a look as if to say, "What are you doing coming up on me like that?" We both stood there staring and none of us moved. She had her head bent back to the left and looked at me from the corner of her eyes with a slightly alarmed look, as if she was saying, "You caught me." She was completely normal looking, like a local Chicago lady, late 50s and wearing a bright red winter coat. In hindsight, there's a few things besides her speed that stood out. The first thing is there was no sound, no footsteps, no rustling in the woods, nothing to tell me to turn around other than the strong presence of someone was behind me. At the speed she was moving, she would have had to have been running hard, but I heard no footsteps. She was not breathing hard and her mouth was closed. Her gait was a walking gait. She was not running. However, she was moving towards me at a running speed. I mean fast. When she stopped, I'd say she was less than 20 feet from me. At the speed she was moving, in 1 or 2 seconds she would have been on me. The next thing that stood out was her features. She had no distinguishing features, none in her hair, skin or clothing, no shadowing or skin hues, dimples, etc. As a former army criminal investigator, I know to look for distinctive markings, but there were none. I'd estimate her height was 5'10". Her clothes were of uniform colouring and indistinct. It was like she just stepped out of a department store. Her bright red coat was pristine with a uniform hue to it. There wasn't even shading, which there should have been given the clear sky and low sun. After staring at each other for I'd say at least 5 to 10 seconds, I felt like I got my point across, so I turned around and continued walking. The girlfriend had not noticed anything and had continued walking. I took around 3 steps and realised there was no way she could have come up from that group in the 30 seconds or so since I'd last looked back. There was nowhere to come from on either side. Visibility at that point was hundreds of feet or so, and I said to myself there's no way, and spun back around. When I looked back, she was gone. She simply vanished. I checked the group behind us and no one had on a red coat. There was no one else around us, and there had been no sounds other than my footsteps. The woman just vanished. From that point it took us 10 minutes to reach the car. For the remainder of the walk I did not feel like I was being stared at or followed. I've never been back to Starved Rock State Park since, and I have no intentions of going back. The whole thing was bizarre. How was I supposed to tell anyone about this? My mental state was fine. I have a high IQ, and a 20-year career in a STEM field following army service. At the time I was working a DoD IT contract in Iraq. I was well rested and relaxed being on vacation with my girlfriend. There were no substances involved. These are strictly prohibited in my line of work, and were grounds for immediate termination under MNFI's Go 1, which I was subjected to. I've carried this experience around for 12 plus years now, being unable to talk about it because it's unexplainable. It's a relief to read similar stories of unusual encounters and disappearances. After reading many missing 411 accounts, and the profile of disappearances, I believe I narrowly averted being snatched by whatever that thing was. I do not think it was the woman I saw. I think it was something different which I could not see. So what do you make of this mysterious story? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.